1 decade. That's how far back we have to rewind to see a year in which both Man United and Arsenal found themselves in a title battle, with the Red Devils top of the league entering the year, and Arsenal in that position come the end of 2013. Rewind another decade, and the 2002-03 season was the last time we saw Man United and Arsenal finish as the top two teams in the Premier League. Years of fierce battles that decided titles and created a vicious rivalry between two teams nearly 200 miles away from each other had finally come to an end, as old stars left and new foes appeared. And in recent years, the two titans of English football have seen year after year of mediocrity, culminating in embarrassment for fans of each side who'd been so used to being the best of the best. But now, after 20 years, a once great rivalry is back. This is the story of Arsenal versus Manchester United. For over 100 years, two giants of English football lived in near harmony with each other, yet by the mid-2000s, it seemed like they'd been sworn enemies since the day they were founded. I'm sure you're wondering how on earth Arsenal and Man United got to the stage where managers were having slices of pizza thrown at them after games. Well, to find that out, we have to rewind all the way back to the start of it all. On the 13th of October 1894, Newton Heath faced up against Woolwich Arsenal in a second division game, ending in a 3-3 draw. Of course, there had gone to be clashes between the two sides over the years, but the next notable moment in this rivalry wouldn't occur for nearly a decade. On the 4th of April 1979, Man United beat Liverpool in an FA Cup semi-final replay, where they would then face up against Arsenal in the final. In the league, both sides had failed to see any success, missing out on qualification for the UEFA Cup and relying on success at Wembley to make Europe via the Cup Winners' Cup, with everything on the line.
That long walk is underway and they come into view. Well, there's no prouder moment for any manager, Brian.
100,000 fans crammed into Wembley Stadium for the clash, where Arsenal raced into a 2-goal lead by half-time via goals from Brian Talbot and Francis Stapleton. The second half proved to be a dull affair, and after so much anticipation going into the game, any neutral watching from home was left with a bitter taste of an uneventful football match in their mouth. But then suddenly, in the 86th minute, the game shot to life. In just 120 seconds, Man United had equalised, the Arsenal bench and fans completely shocked, yet there would still be one twist left in the 90. Within 20 seconds of the restart, and Arsenal had gone back ahead, going on to win the match 3-2 in what's remembered as one of, if not the, single greatest FA Cup final of all time. Fast forward a decade, and after nearly 20 years of Liverpool dominance in English football, both Arsenal and Man United saw resurgent sides, and faced up against one another in October 1990 in a very tense affair at Old Trafford. In January 1987, the two sides had seen a bit of animosity, which continued to build over the next few years, before all coming out in a huge 21-man brawl. Nigel Winterburn of Arsenal went in heavily on Dennis Irwin, leading to the United defender and Brian McClare kicking out at him, before everyone but David Seaman rushed in to either stop the fight or join in with the altercation. United would be docked 1 point for the incident, with Arsenal losing 2. However, the Gunners came out with a larger victory, as they went on to lift the title later that season. However, this was far from the last spat between the two sides. 6 years and a few more clashes would pass before the next key moment in the rivalry took place, as in September 1996, Arsene Wenger joined the Gunners. By April 97, Ferguson had been in various interviews describing Wenger as nothing more than a novice of the English game who should keep his mouth shut, after he'd made various critical comments of the Red Devils. 12 months later, and Ferguson had to watch as the novice Wenger lifted the Premier League and FA Cup, beating United to the title by just a single point. Most importantly though, the first 2 years of Wenger's spell in charge saw various incidents between the two sides, particularly a repeating area of friction between Ian Wright and Peter Schmeichel, centred around a topic I don't really want to delve too far into in this video, mainly due to the fact I wouldn't be able to give you enough information to draw a solid conclusion on the matter, as it's simply a he said she said situation. Going into the 98-99 season, Arsenal twice beat United 3-0 in the first month of the campaign, once in the Community Shield and then once again in the league, but come the end of the season, and it would this time be United to pip Arsenal to the title in May. However, the most notable clash between the two sides came in the FA Cup semi-final a month earlier. This allowed goals, red cards and a moment of magic from Ryan Giggs would see United go on to win the game 2-1, while on their way to a historic treble, particularly important as they've been able to one-up their North London opponents from a year previously, before going into the new millennium. By 2001, United had won the third league title in a row, with the rivalry seeming to simmer down in terms of importance due to the Red Devils' dominance, most notably seen as they beat Arsenal 6-1, eventually finishing the season 10 points clear of the side from London. But with Sir Alex having announced he'd be retiring in 2002, and a failed attempt at stealing Patrick Vieira from the Gunners, Wenger and his players went on to clinch the title back from the Red Devils after a 1-0 win at Old Trafford, led to the infamous quote from the French manager, "In everyone thinks they have the prettiest wife at home." To most, this was just a figure of speech. However, to Ferguson, Wenger had taken the rivalry outside of football. He then chose to stay on as United manager following the incident, blessing the Premier League with the best years of the Arsenal-United conflict. United had won the title back in 2003 before the start of the 03-04 season, as tensions between the two sides reached their highest level ever. In September, Arsenal travelled to Old Trafford with the Gunners 1 point ahead at the top of the table, and over the forthcoming 90 minutes, we saw one of the most iconic matches in Premier League history.
To keep the ball. Did Vieira kick out then? It looks as though Steve Bennett thinks that he did. Penalty. Arsenal cannot believe it. Oh, he's missed it. It's Van Nistelrooy with Keown all over it. It's the final whistle. And Arsenal do get their draw, but it's not finished yet.
This moment right here would go on to be one of the most important incidents to ever happen in English football. Van Nistelrooy's penalty, which could have seen Arsenal's unbeaten spell end after just 5 games, would go on to be the closest anybody came to beating Arsenal in the Prem for over 13 months. The Gunners went invincible, winning the title, although they'd been knocked out of the FA Cup by a single Paul Scholes goal later that season, giving the Red Devils their first taste of revenge after the Battle of Old Trafford. However, as I mentioned, 13 months later, the Gunners found themselves back at the Theatre of Dreams, where Ruud Van Nistelrooy got his revenge, alongside new boy Wayne Rooney, as the Red Devils went on to end Arsenal's unbeaten run, one match before the half-century they were so desperate to accomplish. Surely nothing could match the two clashes we've just seen at Old Trafford.
Saying, despite all the glossy PR stuff we've been getting about good advert for the game, there are a few. Henry into the digital and a goal! They've done it with Vieira! The space, he's done that too. Lovely. Back to Giggs, deflected and in! United are level! Bergkamp, chance for Arsenal, 2-1! Dennis Bergkamp! Oh, and it was a picture goal! The ball to Ronaldo, chance Manchester United! Goal! Manchester United! It's Ronaldo, it must be, it is! Manchester United lead 3-2!
Not sure what went on. That's a red card. He's sent off Sylvester.
Oh,
he says he's butted it.
He's butted, look at this. He's got O'Shea in behind! And is this the clincher? Oh, you bet it is! 4-2!
It looked like you and Patrick Vieira were trading insults and threats in the tunnel beforehand. What happened?
Don't want to go into too much detail, but Patrick Vieira is 6'4" and starts having a go at Gary Neville. He says, come and have a go at me. Simple as that.
For 15 years, Arsenal and Man United were the two teams fighting it out at the top of the table, but as Chelsea's takeover saw them rise up the league, something had to give, and Arsenal saw the start of their decade-long decline. Whether it was Wenger being sent to the stands, or the infamous 8-2 at Old Trafford, Arsenal were never able to match the level of their Mancunian counterparts, and once Sir Alex left in 2013, the Red Devils joined the Gunners in their fall down the division. 10 years since we last saw both sides with any sort of desire to win the league, the once great rivalry is back. Oh yeah, and remember how United failed to beat Arsenal back in 2004 to end their unbeaten spell 5 fixtures into the new campaign? Well, this season they wouldn't make that same mistake, chancing the Gunners 3-1 at home, which is still the only match they've lost to this day, where the two sides face up once again. Who knows what the next few years will hold, but if the past is anything to go by, we might just see the two giants of English football rekindle their hatred for each other. With Wenger, Ferguson, Vieira, Keane and everyone else who'd made this rivalry great now long gone from each side, it's up to a new generation to keep us all entertained once again.